Recently, a client came into a session with a list of her limiting beliefs. One of the beliefs on her list was showing emotion is weak. And she said to me, I know that expressing feelings is good. It's a good, normal, healthy adult thing to do. I know vulnerability is good. So why am I still having such a hard time with it? And we talked for a bit how it's so different to know something than to know something. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the science of limiting beliefs and why you feel them so deeply, even if you know something else to be true. Let's dive in. So to understand what a limiting belief really is, we first need to talk about how neuroscientists think our mind works, and it's called predictive processing. So neuroscientists think our brains are prediction machines. And the entire purpose of our brain is to predict what's going to happen next in order to keep us safe. So an easy example, if I see a lion, my brain will predict that it's going to attack, so I run. But how does our brain make these predictions? Based on schemas, which are like unconscious rules for how the world works. So from the moment you're born, and maybe even before then, but that's a different conversation, your brain has been collecting data from the world and forming schemas, like these rules for how the world operates. It then uses those rules to predict what will happen next in any given moment. Now, all of our schemas are unique to us. They're based on your own personal experiences. So yours and mine will be different. And we have nice schemas like when I try hard, I improve. And we have not so nice schemas like I need to be perfect to be loved. And it's these not so nice schemas that we call limiting beliefs. So physiologically, like physically, what is a limiting belief? Scientists think that it's a large network of neurons that are all used to firing together. And I say that just because the term limiting belief can sometimes feel like this personal growth catchphrase. Oh, I am not enough or whatever. But in reality, it's a real physical pattern in your brain that's affecting how you perceive the world around you, how you feel, how you act. Okay. So what's important to know about schemas is that they operate below conscious awareness. So when something happens in your environment, your schemas are activated within milliseconds to make sense of it and to predict what's coming next, which is much faster than your conscious thinking operates. I know that many of us who are high achieving professionally, we really value our intellect. We think it reigns supreme. But the reality is so much is happening in our bodies and in our brains before we have any conscious thoughts at all. That's why we can know something in our heads and still not feel it in our hearts, or why we can know something to be true but still find ourselves acting differently. Because what we're acting on are these unconscious schemas, not our conscious thinking. Okay, back to my client. So she has this limiting belief that says expressing emotions is weak. And consciously, she believes that vulnerability is good. But subconsciously, this schema is preventing her from expressing her feelings. Because at some point, she got data from the world that said that expressing her feelings is weak and she better not do it. And that formed this deeply entrenched schema that she's still wrestling with today. So it's nice to know what limiting beliefs are, but what the heck are you supposed to do to be free of them? One, you need to understand what the schema really is. It's usually much more specific than we think. So for my client, it didn't end up being expressing emotions is weak, but something more like, when I'm upset, no one is going to be there for me. So it's better for me to pretend that I'm not feeling anything at all. Understanding the real specific schema is what helps us know how to update it. Because if we only know the general thing, we're not going to be able to update it very well. So once we understand it specifically, then we can help our brain collect data to update it to better match our current reality. Our brain needs data to disconfirm the old schema so that it can update to be new and more accurate within our current reality, right? So your job is to help collect that data so your brain can say, oh, I better update this old schema to be more right. So one, you need to understand really specifically what the schema really is. And two, you need to collect data to help your brain realize that its schema is outdated and to update it to a more accurate current version. I hope this video was helpful. I'll go into more depth on those 2 steps in another video. See you soon.